program of the day. First, we'll cover what is EEX Journey Leadership Development Program. Then we'll get to the most exciting part, which is our alumni Satu and Juhani. And finally, you can ask questions from them. And we hope that in 24 minutes, you'll have a better understanding of EEX Journey program. And yeah, let's have a great discussion. And now, the founder of the EEX, Tapio, go ahead.
Good to see you all. I mean, greetings from Frankfurt, Germany. You know, as many of you know, that our mission is simply to make world entrepreneurial. And we're focusing on large companies and helping the startups. This picture sort of tries to capture our why. I mean, why are we doing what we do? We do this because we need the transformation capabilities. Basic claim is that everybody needs to know, everybody needs to learn entrepreneurial qualities, at least a little bit. All the leaders, a little bit more courageous, a little bit more open to experiment and collaboration. And we need this because of the huge challenges we're facing. And I don't have to talk about this. I mean, some of you are working with some of the greatest challenges we're facing as a mankind. But this is the big picture. Basically, to solve these things, we need to get out of the corporate office, learn from the entrepreneurs who are learning all the time, because this is what they do. We need to grow as leaders. And if we do this, we may realize what Peter Drucker already wrote 1985 about entrepreneurial society, where all the leaders in all organizations make innovations and entrepreneurship their daily job. And that's how we will survive. Can I have the next slide? Now, what we are doing, the part that we are doing is very much about growing. And this comes from the development psychology. You all know that children grow and mature through fairly distinct stages. Now, adults and leaders also grow and mature. And this is the essence of the growth part of this. And to think more systematically, thinking from different perspectives, from different people, different systems point of view. This is absolutely mandatory for the future, knowing how to work, not just your own job, but helping others to flourish. And if I get the next slide, we found this a couple of years ago, 1.5 years ago, and this is from somebody called Nick Petrie. In order to grow a more holistic, systematic thinker and leader, you need 3 things. First, you need a challenge. You need a hard enough challenge, different enough that it really makes you think. It forces you to think anew. Secondly, you need different views. You need different views to that challenge, you know, preferably conflicting perspectives to enrich your thinking, to give you more fuel for thought, so to speak. And finally, all of this cannot be achieved in short, say, 2-day executive course. It doesn't work like that. It requires persistent working of a bigger challenge. It requires lots of interaction, lots of communication, and it requires stopping regularly to think and reflect on what you've learned. And this is very much what we're doing. So what we do is that we take the wonderful key talents and experienced leaders from large corporations. We place them into an advisory board. We take 4 or 5 people, typically 4 or 5 different leaders from very different organizations. We form them into an advisory board. And this advisory board works with a team of entrepreneurs for 1 year. So they focus on one case of a real startup. And this one case drives the agenda. It drives the kind of a stuff that is discussed. They do so practical strategy work that the word strategy is rarely used, to be honest. And our partners and that we believe that we both help the startups and the great corporate leaders get an opportunity to grow on this platform together with their peers from other companies. And that's where the name comes from. EEX is short for Entrepreneurship Exchange. And this is very much what's going on here. So we are now focusing on sustainable startups, sustainability-driven startups, because we thought about combining helping the startups which are addressing some of the most pertinent problems, biggest problems on Earth, and they also are perfect places to learn about these things from the startup's point of view. But all in all, it's not about the particular skills or pieces of knowledge. Yes, you get some of that working 1 year with great people and a difficult case, but it's more, coming back to the vertical growth, it's more about mindset. It's about how do you think and how do you drive, especially new business growth and transformation. This is what it's all about. Because if you think about the startup, the one thing about the startups is that the startup is temporary organization trying to find a business. Startup can't stay where it is because it's nowhere. So startup needs to learn a business or it will die. It's a wonderful place to learn about learning business and growing business. And what we do is that we built this into a program, a very flexible program compared to like executive courses or MBAs or whatever. And we have 4 joint events where we get the whole cohort. We have several teams starting each cohort. But the main body of the work is done between 3 and 4 weeks, a few hour meetings with your own startup and a team. So this is what we do. We help the corporate leaders to grow and the startups. And we are now internationalizing rapidly. We have currently people from different places. I can't see, we actually have people in Singapore. We are missing a couple of dots here. By and large, we work with the most interesting startups, the best companies, and most importantly of all, the best people from the best companies. And we built, it's all now on a digital learning platform. So we made it very easy so that people can really focus in on helping and working the startups case throughout with a distributed team across the world in some cases. Okay, so that was quickly what we do. We're happy to talk about it more. We're happy to take questions about the practical parts, or you can address it to our great alumni. And today I am awfully proud to introduce 2 of our alumni who have kindly promised to share their experience. So you don't have to believe in us, you can ask them directly. Juhani, you have more than 20 years of R&D and leadership experience from companies like Nokia and Theater, now, of course, ABB. I mean, Juhani's cup of tea is to turn ideas into, real products and services in a really competitive environment. Satu she is leading at KONE a global team who's taking care of the sustainability across the whole portfolio of products globally. And of course, now we all know that, this is becoming a big issue and big challenge or opportunity for many of our companies. And Satu is right in the middle of that in a global company. So wonderful different tracks for your work. You're very welcome. Now, if any questions, just write them into the chat and we'll come to them soon enough. But by way of warming up, I would like to ask you to briefly describe your EEX journey? How did you end up doing this, and what were your expectations when you started the program? Satu, would you like to go first?
Okay, hello everyone, also from my side. Interesting question, of course. What was the journey? How did I come up with there? And actually, I think in many of the cases, it's been sort of the word of mouth. Somebody knows someone who has been participating on the journey before, and they think that, hey, this colleague of mine could be a good candidate for the next one. And I think that was the start for me as well, that I had excellent colleagues who were thinking of me when I was sort of looking at how to develop myself as well. But joining the journey roughly now, well, year and a half ago, I would say. So we ended up our journey at the end of the year. It was quite interesting in that sense that first time ever, there was completely different backgrounds that were working on one topic, different companies. We had a couple of legal experts, we had a marketing sort of expert, and then we had a person from the Finnish Taxation Authority office, and then also myself coming from the business side on a different sort of view, and then working on the advisory board for a startup that we did not know anything about their business from day one, and Seppo was the company that we were given as the startup to advise, and they are a gamification platform provider from Finland, and basically founded by one teacher or a person who has been in the teaching industry in a way for a long time, and then a business person there helping him, and exciting journey on sort of learning how to look at the world from different perspectives, but also very comforting in that sense that the colleagues in the startup advisory board were also from quite big companies. Well, actually one was from a very small company, but similar kind of topics were sort of on a challenge board for all of the companies. So you get to see this kind of that, hey, you are not fighting your battles on your own. Others are doing that as well. And hey, actually together we might find solutions for those problems that we are working on daily. But very exciting journey. I think given me a whole lot bigger perspective on how I can lead the team every day, and making sure that I'll encourage the team to take initiatives and be proactive. I don't know if I even answered the question, but that's sort of what came to my mind.
Juhani, you had a different experience.
No, pretty much the same, but actually it started a bit differently. So basically I was contacted by ABB Finland Head of Learning and Development, and by that time it was by the end of 2020. Basically our company was thinking that it would be nice to participate on this program, and basically they were searching for a couple of persons to participate on this EEX for the first time, and then I was lucky to be selected to this program. And basically the reason why I wanted to participate, so I would say that I'm this kind of a bit like an old fart already, and it might be a bit difficult to find ways how to develop yourself. And when I saw what is in this program, I thought that this would be a great platform to really learn new things, because I'm not that kind of a person that I really like to learn new things. I'm very curious, and it's very important for me. And the best way for this kind of a person as I am is to do things and then reflect, and then to learn. And I think this EEX program is a great platform for that, because we are working in the advisory boards of some startups, and you are able to do that kind of things which you don't do in your normal work. So you can try some that kind of things which you normally don't do, and then you can learn. And it's a pleasant kind of an environment because you have other people. You can work together. You can reflect. You can exchange your opinions. It makes you to think different kind of topics, and that's really the one of the most important things. And then of course here you are able to meet new people. You are able to network, and that's always a nice thing. And then of course it also feels nice that if you can help your startup a bit in their journey. So it's like a win-win situation. We both give to each other. So so I like this kind of thing. That so great kind of an experience for me also.
Now this is interesting because what we see in you guys is, and I can say this, I mean, thinking your colleagues who've joined, all of them, the willingness and commitment to help is just incredible. I remember 7 years back, I mean, I was worried that people wouldn't have time or they wouldn't feel for the entrepreneurs, but I see completely the opposite with you guys. I mean, you're 99% of you guys are strongly wanting to support the entrepreneurs. But can you tell us a little bit more about your startup and maybe about your advisory board as well? Satu, you already mentioned a little bit about them. You want to elaborate that?
Yeah, and maybe just build on what Juhani said, that this sort of growing your network is also one important aspect of the journey here in EEX, because then when we are working in different industries, it's easier to also sort of point sort of questions that are, we find that those are similar topics that we're working on. So you have wider network to sort of brainstorm on new ideas, and maybe seeing here in Finland level that we are sort of developing the country of Finland. And I would say that this would be the same for any country who has wide participation for this, that there will be also this kind of collective willingness to help and look after your country and the industries within your country. So I think this is, I think, very common that I heard during those midterms and so on in the discussions with both the different startups, but also with people from different advisory boards. But then about the Seppo. So Seppo has been, when we joined, they had quite a clear understanding, sort of, or let's put it that way, they thought that they had a clear understanding on where they want to go and what are the customer segments that they should start focusing on, and what would be sort of the new businesses that they would like to start connecting and contacting with, and sort of the gamification business is quite brutal. Everybody knows what we have, Kahoot and this kind of instant games online that you have, but hardly anyone knows Seppo outside of the school business in Finland, for example. Some companies are using it for the gamification of onboarding of people and so on. So there are features in that platform that they have developed where you can modify and basically customize the games as per your needs, which is a great thing. And somehow they have found customers in Brazil that are one of their biggest customers. And this is sort of the funny part was that they also happened to have, somehow they knew a person who speaks fluent Spanish and Portuguese, and that person was in Brazil. So they have like this kind of a network already there in that sense. And the company that's one of their largest customers, they made board games. So physical games that people were playing, and they were selling those for this kind of education purposes. And when the pandemic started, of course, nobody is going to be face to face, so they needed to change their business strategy, and they needed to find a gamification platform to do this online, and they found Seppo. And that's an interesting story there. But looking at with the advisory board, we were maybe challenging the strategy a bit on their selection of the customer segment, because we found it very difficult. And if we were thinking that coming from 5 different backgrounds from rather large businesses, if we think that segment is quite difficult to get in, that could be also quite big challenge for this kind of company with quite niche sort of product. And we were maybe quite nice in the beginning, didn't challenge too much, but one of the great things about the beginning of the whole journey was that we had this opening session, and Tapio and Elisa and everyone, all the alumni were saying that, hey, remember to start challenging the company that you're advising early on, because that's the best thing you can do during this one, that, hey, challenge their ideas, challenge their strategies and so on. But I think at least we were still quite nice in the beginning and sort of trying to understand everything that's going on. And towards the end, we were really, really sort of pushing forward, and we actually changed the position. So the startup became an advisory board for the company, and we were the advisory board was sort of representing the company, and we made a proposal for the startup. The startup in that sense, that how we would run the business, what we would do with the money that they are possibly receiving from some investors and so on. So I think it gave an excellent opportunity to experience something completely new. Like Juhani was saying, that something that you would not be able to do on your daily work. And it gives you also good tools in negotiation skills and so on within your own company when you have to try and influence someone. So excellent journey in that sense. And the other advisors, I think, Tapio, you mentioned that this was the first ever all-female advisory board that we had. But like I said, legal experts, and then from the tax office of Finland, government of Finland. So very different backgrounds, but everyone having the same ambition, trying to learn new things and trying to be better version of yourself, but help also these advisory companies, the startups, and get this experience.
Excellent. Juhani, airships.
Yeah, so my startup was called Kelluu, and it is a Finnish airship company. And they have developed this kind of a small airship, and basically the thing is that it's this kind of an airship which has an autopilot and very long operating time. And the airship can carry different kind of sensors like video camera. And the business idea of this Kelluu company is that they can provide this kind of an airborne real-time surveillance and inspection services. So basically they are not selling those airships, but they are providing this kind of an surveillance kind of a service. So very interesting kind of a business, and there is a lots of different kind of an applications for this kind of a service. So that is that was very, very important for me, that I really believed on this company and this business, and I believe still about this, that this is gonna fly. Let's see what happens, but interesting kind of a business. And a couple of words about our advisory board. We had 4 persons there, and I think you in EEX, you did great work on selecting the participants. So we had great diversity. So we had gender diversity. We had 2 men, 2 women, and then we had quite different backgrounds. So that is an excellent kind of a thing because then you can have different kind of viewpoints and good kind of discussions. And for us, it took, of course, a couple of meetings really to team up and learn about how we are working and learn about the business of the startup and understand more about that. And I think quite quickly it started to yell nicely, and we had that kind of a thing that we maybe had in the beginning too much discussion on this kind of very much operational kind of daily topics, emerging topics in the startup. And that was actually the request coming from the entrepreneurs. They would like to discuss about these things. And we were feeling, we advisors, that maybe we are not the best ones to help them on this kind of things, because it would need quite a lot of knowledge about their company. And then gradually we moved more to discuss about the strategy and that kind of more long-term topics. And I would see that was more fruitful for us advisors. And as Satu mentioned, we had similar kind of an exercise there at the end of our journey, that we changed the hats with the entrepreneurs. So basically we started to build this kind of an business growth plan for them. So we started to think about what they should do next, how to grow the business. And that was maybe the best exercise what we had in our program. And we did it also in that way that we tried to also use a different hat that we use normally. So try to go your discomfort zone and select that kind of tasks on building that growth plan, which you wouldn't normally do. Mm-hmm. So I see that also very important kind of a thing that you try to do really, and you push yourself to do that kind of things which you wouldn't do normally. Mm-hmm. So go to that kind of an area, so that then you can really learn. So all in all, I would say a great kind of an learning experience. I learned a lot, and really made me to think. That kind of things I would not have done otherwise.
Yeah. This is interesting because both companies have run wonderful programs, but let's not start comparing. But a trick question here, you were mentioning about the lots of the advisory boards are thinking about thinking your airships right level of abstraction, and what level you should have a helicopter view, or what is strategy and what is operational. A quick question is to both of you: do you think about strategy or basics of a business differently now than before the journey? Juhani, you want to go first?
Maybe maybe not directly, maybe the strategy, but especially things like how to run strategy, how to drive change in the organization. At least that has changed quite a lot. I think I have at least what I have tried in my organization is that we would have more focus. We would prioritize what we are doing. So of course we have always had models how to drive the strategy, how to drive the change. But I mean, we try to be more, have more pace, more focus, more prioritization. So that is a learning learning from the startup that basically you have to be fast, you have to adapt, you have to learn all the time. So it's not sense to make very long-term plans. Of course, you need to have your vision that is not changing too much. Your strategy is not changing, but what you actually do every day to implement the strategy, that changes all the time. It doesn't make sense to make plans for 1 year or several years, what you are going to do to execute the strategy. You have to think about now, what you are doing today or in the coming weeks. So I think that's a big kind of a change, what I have experienced and I'm applying in my organization now.
Satu, how you feel?
Maybe from my side, I don't think that sort of how to build a strategy and so on has really changed from my thinking, but what has maybe increased is that at least I try every day with the team that I'm leading to make clear that I don't really care how things are done. Like I don't need things to be done on a specific way always. Like we have processes for a reason, but you have multiple ways to get to your final destination. Sort of what you have a strong, clear vision where you want to be, but how do you get there? There's a million different ways to get there, and none of them are, or so I would say majority of them are as good as any other. So coming out of maybe on this kind of bureaucratic way of strictly following all the processes to the letter, rather than making sure that everyone feels free to sort of give their opinion or their thought on how things should be done, and then getting the justification on why I think this needs to be done on this way, but giving that freedom to select how to get to the final destination. And I think that is something that I'm challenging also sort of towards the top management, that hey, why do we have to do things on a way that is being done for the last 112 years or something, that our company is old, but I think that's been a refreshing reminder in a way.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add is really also this working together and cooperating. That's also very kind of an important. Although you share the same vision, but then when you are taking those actions, everybody has to be aligned. So that basically in most of the cases you need support for some other functions. They have to know what you are doing in order that you are able to reach your goals and targets. So you have to be really aligned. You have to cooperate, and I have also tried to push that one in my organization, that we would really know. Although we share the strategy and vision, we also need to know that what we are doing in order to implement it. Otherwise, things are not going correctly forward.
That requires, in a large company, that requires lots of communication. In a small team, it's easier.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. It requires lots of communication, and we have plenty of things to improve there. Really, that everything is aligned, everything understands what is going on, and everything knows how they should help others, and commit to that also, that they will help.
Because the helping is very strong aspect on what we do. But and on that note, I mean, both of your companies and both of your roles, I mean, your companies are dependent. Your big B2B businesses. I mean, especially, I mean, Satu, in your company, you're always working with a bunch of other companies when you're doing your final products. Do you guys think differently about collaboration? Because you're pretty strong in that already.
I would say that not necessarily differently, but as Juhani was also saying, the importance of collaboration and communication, especially communication, is something that was maybe also evident in the startup case, that maybe there was not enough communication from the top to the team and from the team to the top, sort of like a two-way communication, that what are the expectations, and I think this like in our kind of a company where we have tens of thousands of people and different organizations that are needing to work together and towards the same goal, the communication and collaboration is really critical. And if it would be possible, all I would be doing is to talk to the other organizations and just sort of explaining again and again. And repetition is a key, because explaining something one time is not enough. But I think that this is also evident from a small company as well. Even though you might have 10 people, if 7 out of the 10 doesn't know what the 3 people are thinking and how they are planning to go forward, it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. So basically, it doesn't matter how big or small your company is, the communication and collaboration really is the key.
Mm. And to add to that, it's not just internal, but also external. Mm-hmm. It's the same for ABB, that we have a quite big supply chain, really lots of suppliers all over the world, and they have to be also aligned. Yes. They have to understand what we are trying to reach. Otherwise, it's not going to fly. Mm-hmm. We are really dependent. We have a really that kind of an. We are living together with them. They have to understand what we try to reach. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, this is not going to succeed.
Yeah. So some of the people are talking about the outside-in views and stuff. People, if you feel, then raise your hand and ask questions. We're happy to take your questions. I have a couple in my pocket still. If waiting the questions, I will ask you. Well, there's Asko. Asko, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I think it's more about the process, because I got this invite through LinkedIn. All of this is wonderful and so forth, but I feel like I probably skipped some informational stage. So have you read a page? Does everyone know how this goes? What's my responsibility? What's the role of my employer? And all of the rules of the game.
Yep. This is a wonderful question. Maybe this is something I should answer. What we've done is that the corporate participants like Juhani and Satu here, they join the advisory board. The advisory board is very pure and neutral, independent, has no powers, has no liabilities except an NDA to protect the secrets of the startup. And the whole point is to learn together, work through the year fairly regularly, and take on the challenges and trying to figure out how to grow the startup. And of course, it is a journey. It's a mutual learning journey. And we have a framework, so we have a joint events, and we have a little bit of support in the behind the scenes for the guys, but we're basically supporting the participants to run it. The big deal. I hope I answered your question. There's another one.
Yeah, maybe am I the participant, or is my employer the participant in the program?
The employer, the big companies send their people, but people join individually. Okay. The big companies.
Okay, thank you.
There's no relationship between the big companies and startups. This is not a startup collaboration program as such. That's an important question. Thanks for that. Jarmo, would you like to go ahead?
Oh, thank you. And it was really nice to hear your experiences there. And then thinking about what would be the next step. So I would like to hear your reaction that if you in your company, there would be a kind of an entrepreneurship system, what would be your reactions? And because in a way, taking this, you have this entrepreneurship, which is there outside, but then you can build up an entrepreneur system also inside your company. And now you are very experienced on that. So
Thanks.
How would be your reaction to that?
That's a good question. Who wants to go first?
Maybe I don't know if I would be building an entrepreneur system to my company, but at least what I have been thinking and trying is to apply the learnings, how to be more entrepreneurial in our big corporate. So there is plenty of things what I have learned, and I have to really highlight this one of the first things which we learned and what was introduced in our first common events was this effectuation as a principle. So I really like that one, and I have went back to that many times and I really thought that what it could mean for us. So of course we need both this kind of like a causal thinking and then this kind of an effectuation. So we need both of those, and I really like this kind of thinking that we should really the starting point on everything should be like that who we are and what we know and who we know and really more on leveraging on our strengths. Yep. I see really that as one of the key things as a learning and also this kind of an experimenting things and I see it in my work very much because I'm working in the R&D and basically we are creating products, and I have to say that many times we might take quite actually crazy risks, but those risks are taken unintentionally. So we don't even understand that we are taking risks because basically we don't validate things, we don't experiment. We start from some product vision to build the product, but it is just based on bunch of assumptions. We are not experimenting, we are not validating those assumptions before we rush to build a product and invest huge amount of money. And I like this kind of a thing really, that the starting point is really your strengths, who you are, and so on, and you are building on that. So you don't lock up your target, your goal in the beginning, and then you try to find the means how to reach the target, but you look what you have at the hand, what kind of means you have, and then you are flexible about the target. I think that's really a great kind of a principle which can help a lot big corporates to really be more entrepreneurial and really to manage the risk. The learning, really experimenting and learning should be one of the key things in all the companies.
Absolutely, if we want to grow.
When you make decisions, those decisions are fact-based. You are not just making decisions based on assumptions. You are always experimenting, you are validating, and then you are making decisions. That is a big thing.
Satu, can you answer if you can share your view about the entrepreneurship?
Yeah,
but then
I know that we are running out of time, but I try to be quick, because I like the concept in that sense that you are outside of your company. And maybe the previous question that, yes, it's an individual who participates without any sort of connection from your home company to the startup. So as an individual, I signed an NDA to work there, but my company is sending me to a program. And being there outside of the company, looking at the entrepreneur world outside of my own company, it gives me the freedom to think this from a different perspective than I would be thinking if it would be sort of inside KONE or our company to thought about this. But now we are getting this outside in view that we are sort of free from our daily work, but we are looking into what happens on other companies. But then sort of why is important to have the entrepreneurial thinking also then coming to the big companies, because big companies typically are not the most eager to take risks, even calculated risks. But I think to be able to develop further, we need to be able to take calculated risks much more than we do today. And that, I think, is one of the key benefits for the companies that are sending people into this program. And that's sort of my 5 cents here.
Wonderful. Now, a quick question to both of you, very quick answers, please. What would be your number one advice to whoever participates the program in the future? Satu.
Challenge, and think big.
Okay. Juhani.
My advice is that if you are starting this journey, then really invest enough time because it is proportional. What you get out from this program is what you put in. So it is very important kind of a thing that we all are very busy. But if you participate on this, really put effort here. So then you can really get something out of this.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot from all of our behalf.